For now, though, let's go to the Northwest then. The SACP in the Northwest is convening its Provincial General Council in preparation for the 15th National Congress of the SACP, which will take place from Wednesday to Saturday at Boksburg, Ekurhuleni. The 15th National Congress comes at a time where the SACP is celebrating its centenary of socialist struggle. The Provincial Secretary Madoda Sambatha will deliver the political report. ANC, COSATU, SANCO and the Young Communist League of South African leaders will deliver messages of support. Our reporter Sentleeng Lehihi joins us live for more in the Northwest. A very good afternoon to you, Sentleeng. Of course, the 15th National Congress of the SACP, we're expecting, of course, a lot of support at this time from certain political parties and leaders as well. We understand that ANC, COSATU, SANCO, as well as the Young Communist League of South Africa will be delivering a message of support. Talk to us about the other dignitaries that are expected to be attending this and what's currently happening.
Good day to you and our viewers. Indeed, activities have begun here in Klerksdorp. As we've seen delegates of the South African Communist Party come here for their provincial council. You'll understand that in this particular council, there will be no voting of leadership or anything like that, but there will be deliberations on, the province's stance going into the elections of the national leadership this coming week. We understand that among the core issues that they want to be discussed is a generational change in the leadership of the COSATU, of the Communist Party, pardon me. They're talking particularly about including young people in this leadership, including the views of young people as their struggles are core to the struggles of South Africans. Looking at an over 34% unemployment rate, looking at the sheer need of service delivery and, the dilapidation of infrastructure, as you can see in the province, from lack of proper roads to, water problems. They want these issues to become the fundamental issues that actually dictate the leadership that is going to be coming in at national level. Among the dignitaries we saw the Provincial Young Communist League leadership there also making utterances. We saw the leadership of the community movement there, SANCO, also speaking about, the sheer need for a re-look at, the tripartite alliance to see if indeed are the internal squabbles that are taking place in the ruling party not inhibiting this tripartite alliance from prioritizing the needs of the greater community and the South African national community at large. But just to get a bit more, sneak preview into what is expected at national level, we've got one of the committee members from national level, Ntate Tenuri. Ntate, you are here. You've heard the speaker speak about a lot of issues that need to be dealt with. From where you are sitting, where is the Communist Party going?
I came here to communicate the revolutionary greetings of the Central Committee. To say that work for preparing to go there to the Congress is underway. Many of them have been part of those processes, including in our party school, the Jack Simon Party School that takes place usually every fortnight. But this time, so that we prepare for Congress, the last 3 weekends, including this one, will include the presentation of one of the most important papers that is going to be discussed and debated at the Congress, which include reflections on some of the issues that the people who spoke this morning, message of support from YCL, from SANCO, those issues are embedded in the discussion document. Part of what we were here for was for delegates to ensure, firstly, that they take advantage of those prior debate discussions to ensure that the coverage of what they would like to see happening is adequately dealt with or not in the documentation, because we preferred that should be the guiding document. This is why I emphasize that these papers that are produced ahead of Congress constitute leadership to say this is these issues we have reflected upon. This is our understanding of the roots of the problems that confronts our country, the relationship between ourselves and the workers, and the ANC and the civic movement in SANCO and the communities and so on. And in the manner in which we do so, we also provide the alternative. What we mean by socialism, for example, to have a discussion about that, so that it's not just a theoretical debate, but it's embedded in the practice and answers to questions that people on the ground in their communities would like to hear.
The sentiment we've also heard from other speakers is that we are seeing the Communist Party, needing to actually graduate from a party of good policies, but we need to see them, become awakened to the challenges that we're facing. We're a nation facing great civil strife, from the ESCOM's electricity situation to a president who's also facing a questionable charges. How do we then move as a nation to ensure that these communist principles and policies are not just talk shop?
Well, in the first place, this is what the paper does. It suggests we are facing crises, different crises at a political economy level, in the nature of the economy, in the nature of how things are done in our country right now, dominated by policies that are informed not sufficiently by what people are looking for on the ground, so that the reflections that are contained in the propositions that we have gets to be understood, so that we see that in context. Because often we can be, sidetracked by an important matter, but that is not fundamental to the overall work that we stand for. For example, the unity of workers, the organizational strength of COSATU, of an ANC, of the Communist Party itself, so that when it says this is where we should go, we must be able to do that and have enough strength to be able to carry forward what we undertake to do. This is essentially the message that we are communicating and debating and discussing. These discussions will be finalized at the Congress.
How do we ensure that as a Communist Party and having a vital role in the tripartite alliance, we ensure that we do away with these ills that continue to subjugate our people, speaking particularly with the youth unemployment, speaking particularly with the challenges of power?
Okay, let me give an example of the what I should have said, which it skipped me a little bit, yes, is in our submission to the Zondo Commission, for example, one of the ills is corruption. That we must nobody must doubt where we stand as the Communist Party. That any corruption, any form of corruption and ill discipline, both in and outside of the state, is unacceptable. Organizationally, internally, there are systems that we have developed over time. They must be implemented without hesitation, fairly across the board, so that people themselves, when they see what we are doing with wrongdoers, are convinced that we mean what we are talking about. It's not just theoretical. That those who are accused with criminality and things like those must be handed over to the police. The police must be strengthened to carry out their work, for example. Those are the kind of things that we talk about in their broader level, at the institutional level, their leadership and the resources that they need to have. For example, if we have as many police as we have, instead of double that number, the kind of things we expect them to do is not going to win the load. How do we reverse those kind of conditions in the state system that we have in the country? And so we are, the discussion and the debates include debating the macroeconomic policies and how they have been pursued and how differently things can be done to achieve better results.
Now, it seems as well that all hands are on deck to ensure that, all delegates who've got voting rights are prim and proper for voting in a new national leadership, or perhaps bringing back the existing new national leadership. Where do we stand? How do you see the matter from where you stand?
One of the commissions today, or rather one of the reports that's going to give internally, because now your time has come to leave us, is the approach of the Communist Party to leadership. It's a central committee report that talks to that item, and it will be discussed, communicated, so that members understand the approach of the South African Communist Party to leadership and how it has happened in the past, why it continues to be happening now, and how it must be done. So that in advance, there is clarity about how and what we are going to do at the Congress. because we are a growing organization and there are constantly new people, but there's also contestation from outside that often comes into the organization. So we must be able to clarify those things that I was making a point about the necessity for good administration, because when administration is not good, of membership, of delegate credentials and on those things, if it's not handled right from the outside, even before Congress, there can be trouble. So essentially, what we are doing is to communicate that so that we have delegates and leadership internalizing the crucial political consequences of poor administration. And it is evident in the state as well, because without attention to detail of administrative requirements, there are many things that could have won the state kudos if they were done properly, following good administrative and transparent and timely communications of decisions that often have to be communicated but are not, and leads to problems on the ground.
It may seem like my focus on ESCOM is too much, but I woke up this morning, bathed with cold water. Where does the SACP stand in terms of this ongoing power struggle that we're experiencing in this country?
One of the things that the party did was to engage intimately with issues of the transformation of ESCOM. There are historical reasons of underfunding, which the political leadership was informed about, that these consequences we are seeing today would happen. But we were also very scientific in our approach. We got reports about the approach that must be taken to ensure that we build the capacity and we do not allow its capacity to be destroyed completely, which is the risk that we are confronting. And we are also communicating a view that we shouldn't allow now the privatization of public institutions by stealth. And these were communicated, but we also provided concrete examples of what can be done and done differently to short-circuit the necessity for us to be having the kind of things that we are having. It's a huge problem and requires attention. There's no question that it's on the mind of everybody else. It will, as we discuss the broader economic issues, because it is at the center of people's livelihoods, both employed and unemployed, that they are unable to do certain things for periods of time. And it's crucial that not only as the party, but all organizations attend to this matter like urgent. Because there are people also who continue to staff right, not pay for what they can pay when they can afford. We are not talking about people who can't afford, who deserve, and there are systems in place at a municipal level for indigency. And there are programs like those that can offset some of those problems. But those of us who are employed, who have income regularly, should stop staff riding and not paying for services that have been given. It's crucial that we do that. Of course, the crisis also, we mustn't forget that there are interlinkages between what's happening in our country and what's happening in the world at large, that we are impacted upon by the foolhardy nature of some of the players globally, leading to what we are confronted here today.
Thank you very much for your time, Ntate Tsenudi. That was Ntate Tsenudi, pardon me, the Central Committee member of the SACP, explaining to us the need to reconfigure South Africa to ensure that the Communist Party policies are not only just written down in paper, but are practicalized and become part of a growing society that seeks to put the priorities of the people ahead of capitalist interests. From us here in Klerksdorp in Northwest, back to you in studio.
All right. Sentleeng, many thanks to you for that comprehensive report, as well as your guest there, and Lehihi. Right, that is Sentleeng Lehihi coming to us live from Klerksdorp in the Northwest.